Brian, Anna-Maria, welcome to Sweden. Thank you for an inspiring 2 days of seminar. I'm thinking, for the audience, could you just give a quick repack of sort of the 5 or 6 basic elements of your plant-based nutrition theory?
Well, what we're going to now discuss in a nutshell, briefly, what we've been teaching here for 2 days in Stockholm this summer. Number one, I spoke about how everything comes from the sun. If you capture that on the leaf of a plant, that's where the proteins and the vitamins and the minerals and the phytochemicals and the essential fats are. This is really the natural food for mankind. We also spoke about every single creature on earth, except humans, unfortunately, and the poor animals we've disturbed, eat a 100% raw food diet. In the same mindset, for 60 years, Hippocrates Health Institute has been feeding now hundreds of thousands of people raw food diets and watching catastrophic stage 4 cancers and other diseases reverse, as well as the premature aging process dramatically slow down for people who eat this food. Number 3, we spoke about the importance of movement and exercise, how aerobic exercise is powerful and you need a minimum of 5 days a week, 35 minutes. Weightlifting, extremely important for muscle, weight, as well as making sure you don't get osteoporosis. A minimum of 3 days a week, an hour and a half. Stretching throughout your life, but even more so when you're in your 50s, 60s, and beyond. We also talked about how the emotions play a big role with this. So when people come to us at Hippocrates, for decades they see psychotherapists. Not because we think you're crazy, we think you can just be more sane. And when you become more sane and start to love and respect your life and find your passion and what fulfills you, there's no doubt that you'll live right by eating best food, exercising, and do everything else that you should. Now, Dr. Anna-Maria spoke to you about some very important aspects.
I talked about the immune system, this wonderful system that needs nourishment. And it's not just nourishment through food and juices that we make, it's nourishment emotionally. But every cell in your body knows what you're thinking, and you make 6 billion cells every day. You want to nourish them. Some of them are mutations, some of them could go stray. They could make things happen into cancer, arthritis, lupus, you name it. And we could prevent that. And you know, we have answers. We've been working with this together for more than 80 years, and our institute is nearly 6 decades, and you know, we have a lot of answers. We can help a lot of people on the right track.
I know that you also mentioned that you know, I don't know if it was like 80% of supplements today that you can actually buy in the stores aren't the ones that are going to function. I mean, not that they're going to be poisonous, but they don't have the nutritional bit. Could you just give recommendations of what people should buy? I mean, if it's a brand or where they can go and find it.
Another sub-discussion we had here that's crucial and important are some of the books that we've written over the decades. One is called Killer Clothes, that actually show you can eat a perfectly good eco diet, have a positive attitude, and still end up sick if you're wearing polyester, nylons, etc. But the scariest one for the health seeker out there is supplements. A book that I wrote years ago called Supplements Exposed does just that. We show that over 90% of supplements on the market today are chemicals. The word natural means nothing anymore. By law, since the 1920s, here in Sweden and around the world, to put the word natural on a supplement bottle, it just requires having 10% natural ingredients. The other 90% can be oils, coal tars, turpentine, and most of the time are or derivatives of those. Now what you have to do is make sure you demand from your purveyor, your shop, that you get whole food supplementation. This is in a pill but made out of food. It may be extracts that they don't heat and kill the process, in the process, the nutrients. And those extracts can be put into a condensed form and you can get major benefit. And today, because of the stress load we're under, the amount of time we're spending working today in pollution, we need more nutrients than any other humans ever have in history at the beginning of the 21st century. So Supplements Exposed will teach you that, but just off the top of your head, never walk into a store and just buy a supplement assuming somebody's watching out for you. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite, it's the contrary. Ask for whole food supplementation.
Which would you say are sort of the 5 main supplements or nutrition-based whole food supplements that people should take? I mean, in general, if you generalize.
Now, to generalize on the 5 most important supplements to take, it would be a bacterial form of B12. Since our research over the years has shown that about 70% of the population lack that vital nutrient that actually determines whether or not you have memory and if your nervous system is going to work. Number 2, we think algae, both blue-green and green algae, freshwater algae, are incredibly important for people to consider to take. This is the very first life form on the planet. It has 54 and 52% protein in it. Every mineral and trace mineral known to man, and the only food that has exactly the same essential fat that your brain's made out of. Amazingly healthy for you, body and mind. We also think that digestive enzymes are incredibly important for people to take. This helps you to digest the raw cost. At the beginning, your body's not used to taking normal food, real food, the human diet of raw food. And so our muscle structure and our digestive enzymes are absent at that point. Until you eat raw costs and your body starts to develop the understanding that you're going to go on a normal diet finally, it's going to take that time to develop. The digestive enzymes will help you break down those foods, the proteins in it, the carbohydrates, and the fats. Equally important is I continue to take digestive enzymes for anti-aging. They actually increase the electromagnetic frequency in and around our cells, and Dr. Anna Marie and I take numbers of these every day before dinner. Another supplement that you can take, Dr. Anna Marie is going to tell you about.
Well, we take blue-green algae, we take algae. I just wanted to add, we don't call it anti-aging, we call it active aging.
Oh yeah, she's right. We're not against aging, since we're aging.
And Brian can tell you more about the algae.
Okay. Yeah. And the other one that we like everyone to consider is a phytoplankton. Phytoplankton is a sea algae, but the strongest of all sea algae. It's really one of the essence of it. And this has been directly linked, as the other things I talked about, to anti-disease and active aging.
Yes.
The last thing we should tell them to take is what, Anna?
We have the blue-green algae, green algae, B12, we have the enzymes, we have the
How about
probiotics.
sea algae?
And sea algae.
So things like kelp tablets or dulse tablets,
Yeah.
all of these together are just remarkable. You can just take these every day when you get up. You know, every day we get up and I take about 35 different whole food supplements because we just love life and we're athletic and we run around constantly and we don't work, we play 7 days a week globally. And the fact is that we probably get more nutrition in that morning when we take juice and those supplements than I used to in 2 weeks of my life.
And great protection and great prevention of disease.
And also, what would you say is the biggest misconception when it comes to plant-based food? I mean, of educating the consumer.
Most people think of plant-based food as a plate of lettuce and tomatoes, and they're like, you can't live on that. And you know, that's why we educate, because it's so much more. And misconception, of course, is you don't get enough protein, you don't get enough calcium. And boy, can we prove that over and over.
Matter of fact, calcium comes from plants.
Yes.
And the highest protein sources are plants. We just talked about algae.
Yeah.
How about sprouts? 30% or more. How about, sea vegetables? 30, 35%.
Yeah.
This is insanity. You know who taught you that? The meat and dairy industry.
Yeah.
And you've been silly enough to believe it.
Yeah. We've been educated since we were in school. We were given milk in school and we were giving meat, and that's the deal.
That's the deal.
Yeah.
Bad deal, but it's a deal.
We have 4 kids. They brought up this way. They're totally on plant-based diet. And they're as healthy as could be. We have grandkids now, and it just goes on. It takes 3 generations to change your system. So we hope that our grandkids' kids will benefit from what we started with them. And hopefully a lot of people will get on this plant-based lifestyle that's much more than just a salad.
It's going to happen. I mean, the reality is it's not only about our health, it's about the health of the planet.
Yes.
We will not and cannot survive without giving up meat and dairy food. That's destroying the earth and the water system of the earth. And so either get on board or get out of the way.
And just 2 more questions, because I'm almost thinking, if someone then wants to apply a plant-based diet, but they think, oh, it's too much at the same time, what should they actually sacrifice or quit, and what should they begin? I mean, just maybe 2 or 3 different ones.
First, I would give up dairy products. the milk, the cheese, the butter, the kefir, the yogurt. I would give up all of that because that really is the toughest for every part of your body. That causes more disease than any other food that you're eating. And I know I'm from Sweden, and when you're, Swedish, that's such a big part of your life. Yeah. But boy, it has destroyed us.
Then you have to give up the fisk and the shit. Oh, excuse me, the shit. And that includes the pork and the chicken and all of that stuff. Now, when you're giving up the dairy and the meat, you may say, I'm eating this 3 times a day, 7 days a week. So for the first 3 months, go down to 2 times a day for 7 days a week. And then for the next 3 months, go down to 1 time a day. And then for the next 3 months, slowly but surely get off it. And within a year, you may be off all animal-based foods. And make sure you're eating the right protein-rich, nutritious-rich, green, raw-cost living diet that we discuss. You can also read the Hippocrates books, Life Force, Living Food for Optimum Health. These books give you very simple to understand guides of what we've learned over the last 6 decades working with people who are transitioning and making these changes. Pretty easy to do.
And you have groups like Raw Food Middagar that you can come to Pit Potluck and you can really learn from each other.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot going on in Sweden.
Okay, so one of the biggest addictions I think that we have, and probably might not be aware about, is that we're addicted to sugar.
Yes.
Could you give us some kind of recommendations on how you can actually minimize that?
One of the big problems we see in Sweden, like most of the rest of the world, is people are really addicted to sugar. And they're not really willing to give it up. So people give up the obvious, the usual suspects, white sugar, brown sugar, but then they move over to honey, agave syrup, xylitol, etc. It's the same thing. And sugar feeds every known disease to man, prematurely ages you. Fructose, I actually write it back in books for the academic community, being even more problematic in aging prematurely than even white sugar. So watch yourself. Don't consider yourself on a health diet if it's a high sugar diet, even if it's fruit and fruit juice. These things are problematic. Fruits today are hybrid to have 30 times more sugar in than the ancestral fruits. Your pancreas no longer works because we grew up on sugars. The first drug pushers I ever met were my mom and dad. When I was good, they'd give me sugar. When I was bad, they took it away. And that's how you and I got these habits. Get over it, Sweden.
So be moderate with fruits. If you don't have problem like cancer and other major problems, then eat. It is for breakfast. It is definitely a cleanser, but eat moderation. Eat only ecological fruit. We say 15%, 15% of your diet can be fresh fruit. It depends on where you're at in life. So it's not like you can't have it. And our guests that have even conquered their cancer and they're fine now, they can have some fruit. We start with berries. You're going to have blueberries here in Sweden. All kinds of berries. Those are the best ones to start with. Then you have apples and pears and kiwi. And the high sugary fruits you wait with a long time.
And last but not least, just give a sort of picture of going to Hippocrates, what they can expect for how long, and what is actually, sort of have the momentum, the end momentum of how you'll feel when you leave.
Yeah.
Hippocrates began back in the middle of the 1950s when our founder reversed stage 4 cancer. It was a very serious institute where only people from around the world, including Sweden, would come to us to reverse disease. We were fortunate. Back in 1980, they asked Anna Marie and I to become directors of Hippocrates, and we decided that we had to make this very acceptable and user-friendly for everyone. So we moved the institute from a city like Stockholm, Boston, and we moved it down to sunny Florida, where 12 months a year it's clean and fresh and outside, and we developed a major acreage that's a tropical paradise. We have pools, we have relaxation. People who have very little money can come, and people who are very rich can come and be comfortable. We dance, we sing, we play, but most significantly, we're the hospital of the future. But doing work without it being threatening to you and scary to you, but something that's acceptable, kind, and nice. People come to us from all over the world now not only to reverse disease, but to prevent disease, and most important, for holiday. More than 80% of our guests return to us just for that very reason.
You will feel so wonderful. You will tell us that you haven't felt like this in years. It's like you find yourself. And it's just wonderful. And so it's the camaraderie with all the guests that are at the Institute. It doesn't matter where they came from, what disease they have or none. It just becomes one group that help each other and support each other and actually become friends forever.
Their lives, yeah. Some come
It's
back
wonderful.
together over the years.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, the other thing, we used to have a 2-week program, and we always felt like we were commencing because we have a formal graduation every Friday to honor the guests for being here. We used to feel like we were putting our 12-year-old children on the street. So about 28 years ago, we added a 3rd week. And we thought we were the smartest people in the world, but we realized we had been the silliest people in the world. Because to change a mind, to change habits, it takes 21 days. So it's a 21-day program, the full program, the Life Transformation Program. And I can assure you, that's what happens in those 21 days. To get the blood chemistries, to get the attitude, to get the education, to get the diagnostic, to get the therapy, all of that put together requires time. Remember, we have to retrain you how to live. After all these years you've been trained in properly, we have to teach you the right way.
We got to give you tools so you can continue at home. That's the bit most important.
So we welcome you, Svensks. You come and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, we
and
love to see you.
Be good.
Thank you.